I feel a little bit like a bear coming out of hibernation. I'm like, do I remember how to do this? Regardless, I hope you all had a wonderful holiday break. Do let me know what you did in the comments down below, and I would like it in a list fashion. For example, for me, it was number 1, a lot of naps. Number 2, a lot of really delicious coffee. Number 3, I read The Night and the Moth. Number 4, I went to Arkansas. And number 5, I got sick once. So all in all, a pretty balanced list. However, with the wrap up of holidays, many of you have gotten your first espresso machine, either by being gifted it, or perhaps you have made the very bold choice to purchase one yourself, in which case you are now probably inundated with a whole world of gadgets and gizmos. Some of them very important when it comes to making delicious espresso, and some of them perhaps a little bit more superfluous. So today we're going to talk about the top tools and things that I recommend you pick up when you get your espresso machine, and also talking about the ones that you probably don't need to think about right now. So with that being said, let's go over there. Now, before we get too deep into this video, where I am probably going to suggest that you spend even more money on even more things to add to your morning cup, I like to give a little bit of a caveat here, because coffee, and especially espresso, is a very deep rabbit hole of a hobby. With that comes a lot of thingamajigs and woozles that all claim to provide marginal improvements on your morning cup. But that's not to say that you need them. I truly believe in all the things I'm going to show you today. I think they provide significant returns on investment, but if you are happy with what you're drinking every day, I'm not going to push you away from that. So with that being said, let's begin our list. Now, the number one thing you can purchase after your espresso machine is your coffee grinder. There are a lot of espresso machines that come with built-in grinders, in which case you don't need to worry about this right now, but for the most part, and in the future, if this is something you continue to do, I would suggest separating the two. So having an espresso machine and then a separate grinder, just so you're able to invest in a higher quality grinder, which is very, very important down the road, especially if you are pulling multiple coffees or investing in higher quality coffees. Now, coffee grinders typically come in 2 forms, I will call them. You have something like this. This is the Kin Grinder K6, and this is a manual hand grinder. So you would load in your coffee and then you grind it yourself every morning. It's a nice little workout, and typically these are pretty affordable options. Additionally, you have something that may look a little bit more traditional. This is an electric grinder. This is the Baratza ESP, and I think both of these are good examples of starter grinders at affordable price point. Grinders in and of themselves are a gigantic rabbit hole when you start to talk about burrs and materials, but for the most part, I recommend investing in a steel burr grinder that is capable of grinding for espresso. That is an important note right there. There are a lot of grinders out there, and you may have one already for your filter or your batch brew coffee, but it may not do espresso, and you can't just make it do espresso. There are very, very specific burrs and grinding ranges that are important for espresso, so investing in something for your espresso machine or that can very explicitly do both will be key here. Later this year, we will go through a full series about grinders. There is a lot of nitty-gritty we can get into, but that is the overview. Your grinder is very important, arguably more important than your machine. Make sure you invest in it.
I want to give a huge thank you to Trade Coffee for sponsoring today's video. If you are looking for the fastest way to improve your coffee routine this year, the answer is freshly roasted quality coffee. It really is that simple. Trade is the #1 destination in the US with over 55 of the top roasters and coffees to fit every preference and brewing style. Trade is an amazing way to keep your favorite coffee arriving at the interval that works best for you, or a way to explore new and exciting coffees curated by their team of experts. This year, I've started off with 2 new coffees from Trade, a washed Ethiopian from Blueprint Coffee and an anaerobic natural Indonesian from Dune Roasters. Whether you like your coffee clean and classic or modern and funky, Trade has something for you. So, if you're ready to explore the world of flavor that coffee has to offer, right now Trade is giving my subscribers 50% off a 1-month trial at drinktrade.com/MDC. That's drinktrade.com/MDC to get 50% off a 1-month trial, or you can always click the top link in the description.
Welcome back. We have a machine, we have a grinder, We have our coffee, let's talk about the other ingredient in the mix, which is water. Water is a very, very important part of brewing coffee, not only for the flavor, but also when it comes to espresso machines, the function of the water itself. I highly recommend picking up water minerals for your espresso water. I think these from Third Wave Water are a really great option. Inside this little packet, you have these little sticks of water minerals that you will dump into a gallon of distilled water, mix it up, and then you can just pour it into your espresso machine. It's worth noting that these are explicitly made for espresso machines. Not only are these designed to make your coffee taste really, really nice, even if you have tap water that might be particularly hard or soft, but also this is made to reduce mineral buildup within your machine, which will increase the longevity of your equipment. Take care of your machines, people, which actually leads me to my next thing. Cafeza is the lifeblood of baristas and also of coffee equipment. This is a wonderful cleaner that is specifically designed to break down coffee oils and fats and buildup and grounds and all of that stuff that accumulates very quickly and leads to your coffee tasting a little less than great. Keeping your equipment clean is incredibly important whether you are a working barista or a home barista, and this is the stuff to do it. It also works great on like everything. If you are someone who has a thermos or a water bottle, Cafeza will keep it nice and sparkly all the time. So highly recommend picking up a bottle of this. The next thing I suggest you get is a digital scale, preferably one that measures to the 10th of the decimal. Also, potentially one that has a built-in timer. Specifically, you are going to be using this to weigh basically every aspect of your espresso. You want to weigh the coffee that you are grinding and putting in the basket. You also want to weigh the output or the resulting liquid that you're pulling in your shot. Scales like this that are designed for coffee will typically also have a timer included, and I think this is great. When you are dialing in coffee, you want to be keeping track of your recipes, and typically a recipe includes your dose, your output, and then the time it took to extract the shot. Having a scale will allow you to easily track all of that and repeat your process every single day. There are a lot of different scales out there. I have quite a few. You have something that is far more expensive like the Akaya Lunar. This is a much more affordable one from Maestri House. Both of these work great. I wouldn't put a lot of pressure on you to buy a very expensive scale, just one that works consistently and maybe has a timer. Next up, we have a self-leveling tamp. Now, most espresso machines will come with a tamp, and most of the time they are pretty bad, to say the least. I think a nice, solid self-leveling tamp like this one from Akape is a really great investment, especially when you're starting off learning technique and learning to tamp straight. This will provide you with a nice little set of training wheels, so you don't have to think too hard about that. Now, one note I will make about this is that there are traditionally two different sizes of portafilters that most home espresso machines come with. Usually larger, higher end ones use 58mm portafilters, and some of the more like introductory ones come with a smaller 54mm portafilter. Now, it's important that you know what size portafilter your machine comes with because that size will dictate what size tamp you get. As an example here, this is a pretty standard 54mm Breville portafilter, and this tamp is designed for 54mm. So you will notice that you can set it on top. There is this kind of guard here on the top, so I can't dump my tamp into it. It stops here, so when I tamp down, it's automatically nice and flat and level. Solid, consistent, even tamping technique is very important when it comes to preparing your espresso, and a self-leveling tamp is a very nice tool to help that. Now, speaking of tamping, let's talk a little bit about puck prep. There are a lot of different ways to do puck prep. So hard to say, puck prep. There are a lot of different ways to do puck prep nowadays, but the way I still prefer to do it is using a WDT tool. That stands for Weiss Distribution Technique. This is the tool that allows you to achieve that. Now, you have probably seen these online of people raking their espresso with tiny little needles, and yes, it does have a purpose. When you are preparing your espresso puck, when you dose all that coffee into the portafilter here, it's all just kind of piled in there. Depending on the grinder you have, maybe it's kind of clumped up too. And if you just go straight into tamping that, you're gonna have areas that are more compacted, and you might even have little patches of kind of like gaps that when the water starts pouring through the top, the water can like focus in on those gaps. It may not make it through the compacted areas, and overall you end up with coffee that is pretty unevenly extracted. So WDT, wise distribution technique, and this tool right here aims to even everything out as much as possible. There are quite a few of WDT tools on the market, and a lot of them work very well. This one just so happens to be from a brand called Subminimal. I like it a lot. It's nice and small and compact, and you may have noticed me kind of treating it like a fidget toy. It has this kind of flick mechanism where you can pop out the needles, easily pop them in so they don't bend or anything. I think that's nice. It's not totally necessary. This is definitely a more premium version, but I do like it. However, whatever type of WDT tool you end up getting, you will also want to pick up a funnel as well, because we're gonna be raking our coffee around, and you'll notice when you dose coffee into a portafilter, it often is pretty piled up there, making it very hard to get an accurate and true rake of the coffee to even it out. So, hence coming in this little pair of tools here, a funnel. Your funnel, again, is something that you will need to match to your portafilter size. This is a funnel that specifically fits on a 54mm portafilter. You'll dose your coffee, slip the funnel on, and now you have a nice little increased elevation that you can just go to town with WDT. Nice circular motions working your way into the center from the bottom to the top of the puck until everything is nice and even and ready for you to tamp. Now, the final tool in this section of things you should buy really kind of straddles these two categories of maybe you need it and maybe you don't. This is a milk pitcher. If you are someone who enjoys making milk drinks, or if you are someone who is really pursuing latte art as a skill that you're building, I do suggest investing in a nice pitcher for yourself. I'll show you an example here of what I mean. This is a pretty bog standard pitcher that comes with most Breville espresso machines. If you are just looking to steam milk without pouring latte art, this is a solid choice. It's a really nicely built pitcher, it feels good, and it comes with your machine, which is always an added bonus. However, you will notice some differences between these pitchers, specifically when it comes to the spouts. You will notice that on this custom one I have right here, the spout protrudes. Sorry, that's not the most pleasant word, but it's the only one that's in my mind. Quite a bit off the body of the pitcher comparatively to this one. You'll also notice that it is a lot wider in the spout than this one, which allows me to have a larger, wider flow of milk and allows me to also, with this depth, reach further into my cup. This is getting into the nitty-gritty of latte art, which is a whole nother video. However, you will find the ability to pour latte art and switch up your designs a lot easier with something like this, whereas you're kind of overcoming a lot with this pitcher to do those same things. I will link this below if any of you are interested in this specific model. This is truly the one I recommend for most beginners or people picking up their first pitcher for themselves. This is from Slow Pour Supply. It's the WPM round spout in 15 ounces. This comes in a couple different sizes, but if you're making home drinks, be it cappuccinos, small lattes, cortados, this is the size you want. Okay, those are all the things I think you should and could buy to have really solid returns. Now let's talk about the extra stuff. I would consider this section not things that you shouldn't buy. I think these all have a lot of good purpose. I mean, heck, I have and use these types of tools. However, they are things that you don't need to immediately buy. I think everything we just talked about is a lot more relevant to the beginning of your espresso journey, whereas these things are fun little doodads and knickknacks that you can add on as you go if you feel like you want to. Number one is pretty simple. It's going to be a knock box. Knock boxes are functionally tiny trash cans for your espresso pucks, which As I say that, that sounds very adorable, and I do love my knock boxes, but they are an extra little bonus that you don't necessarily need right off the bat. Knock boxes have this little bar across the center of them, and you whack your portafilter against it, and you knock out your espresso puck. However, this is something you can very easily do into your trash can as well. So if you don't have the space for it, if you don't want the added cost of a knock box, it's not quite necessary. Now this right here is a coffee distributor. This one specifically is a bit old. I've had this since I think probably 2017, and it's one of those tools that we don't super use that much anymore, especially since the real advent of WDT and puck preparation. How a distributor works is you would grind your espresso into your portafilter basket, and you would just place your distributor on top, and then you'd spin it several times. These little like forks on the top would even out the surface of the espresso grounds right before you would tamp. Now, if you're using the methods and tools I talked about earlier, be that the WDT and then also a self-leveling tamp, you are doing everything that this tool does and more. Distributors don't really reach down and adjust anything in the basket itself. You're just leveling off the surface of the coffee. So you still have risk of channeling if you have any of those clumps or little like air pockets inside. Whereas if you use a WDT and a self-leveling tamp, you're getting into the basket, and then already, since this is gonna tamp flat, you're good to go. There's no real reason to level off the surface. Oftentimes I see a lot of workflows that utilize both WDT and then also a distributor, and it's not super necessary. Another thing that might be nice to add on later in your espresso life but isn't necessary up front is an espresso puck screen. Now, these are mostly used to kind of provide an even water flow from the shower head onto the puck, and also to make sure you don't have a lot of grounds and kind of grime sticking up onto your espresso shower head. Puck screens can be really nice. I use them sometimes, not nearly as much as a lot of people. They're definitely a very cool tool. They definitely do things, but this is definitely kind of one of those superfluous things that if you find yourself really getting into the nitty-gritty of espresso, if you find yourself drinking a lot of just straight espresso versus milk drinks, maybe this is something you explore, but it's definitely not needed right off the bat. And the very last thing that I don't think you need to get off the bat is a bottomless portafilter. You'll notice this is different than something like most machines come with, which is a portafilter that has spouts on the bottom. The benefit of a bottomless portafilter is that you can see exactly what's going on at the bottom of your extraction, which some people really like. However, just seeing the bottom of your extraction doesn't give you the full picture. Really, the full picture is what you taste in the cup. So this is a nice tool that you can add on later if you really feel like you want to, if you feel like you'd really benefit or like the aesthetics of it, but functionally, you can stick with your original portafilter. Okay, and I think that is a pretty exhaustive list of everything that could possibly go into your espresso setup. Of course, I would always be super curious to hear from you, what you like to use and what you don't. Espresso setups are highly personalized. These are things that I prioritize, but everyone has their different takes. So feel free to leave those in the comments down below. Regardless, my name is Morgan. You can find me here on YouTube, typically once a week plus shorts, or you can find me on Instagram or TikTok almost every single day. I will have all sorts of links down in the description. It's good to be back. Hello everyone, I hope you had fun today, and I'll see you next time. Goodbye.